All right, let's just get to it. I went to the Bruins game last night. Bruins game in Dallas. It's a fucking nightmare. Absolute disaster. Had great seats right by the visitors tunnel. So I did my videos when they were coming out on the ice. I was there to show them my support. And this is going to sound stupid and cheesy, but whatever. I don't get this feeling with the other teams in Boston because I'm an adult now. Okay. I've seen it for what it is. These are normal people who'd have an unbelievable God-given talent and unbelievable work ethic to get where they are. Basically, I don't see them as like superheroes anymore. And I'm not saying I don't see the Bruins like that, but there was something where I'm like, these are my guys. They're wearing the spoked B. Okay, these are the Boston Bruins. That means something, and it flowed through me last night as I watched them go out of the tunnel right in front of me, and then they had to play the game, and I definitely realized they're not superheroes. Holy mother, that was bad. 7-2. It's the second straight game the Stars have put up a touchdown and an extra point. 14 goals in 2 games. And it's indicative of the way this league is heading because the teams they beat are 2 teams that were once proud franchises in strong Northeastern hockey towns or, good hockey fan bases, I would say. Both wear black and gold, and both are hanging on too long for the fleeting hope that they might actually be contenders. And both have been proven wrong in that fact by the Stars the last 2 games. That would be the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Boston Bruins that are just clinging to whatever this is and spending up to the cap for what? For this dog shit team that I watched go out play and play against Dallas last night. Good golly, Miss Molly. There is no one on this team that has clean hands. No one on this roster, on this coaching staff, in this front office. It is all a mess. All a mess. And they just got their brains kicked in last night. They actually were out shooting the Stars after the end of the first period. It was 11-10 in shots. After that, the Stars doubled them up. It finished 38-25 in shots. Quick math there. That's 28-14 in shots the next 2 periods. And you could make an argument that the Bruins were kind of in this thing after the first period. They were down 2-1. They had given up a goal and a penalty shot that should have never been a penalty shot, and they were out shooting the Stars. And the Stars were shooting at me that first period. So I got to see a lot of great action. I saw the penalty shot. I saw a penalty that should have been a 5-minute major. I saw a fight. It was awesome for action on my end. But because the action was coming in my end, I was able to tell right away. And about 6.5 minutes into the game, I am losing my mind in the 5th row because of this penalty shot that was called on Mason Lowry. Let's take a look at the tape at how awful this call was.
Trying to spring to Donoff into the slot. Oh, they're going to call Mason Lowry that he was in alone. Donoff was in alone, according to the official. Fouled from.
For those of you who are new to hockey, and that might be a lot in the Dallas area, you got a good team again, it might also include the referees that were officiating this game. That is called a stick lift. That is not a penalty. He doesn't use the free arm on him. He lifts up his stick. Donoff is losing his balance as he's riding into Lowry. Lowry lifts up his stick, gets the puck out. That is not a penalty. And it is sure as hell not a penalty shot. That was horrid. A horrid call. Is it going to stop the Bruins from getting their ass kicked in this game? I don't know. Probably not, right? But at that point, it changes the game a lot. Then Coyle scores, at the end of the first period, it's 1-1 going into the room. You might feel a lot better about yourself. That is not a penalty. And not only do they get him on a penalty, they give him a penalty shot. That is a disgrace from the NHL, which the officiating this year in the league-wide, not just the Bruins, league-wide, has been awful. Awful. No one knows what a goaltender interference is. We're getting plays like this where they're getting nickel and dimed and given a penalty shot, and no one knows what the hit from behind rules are anymore, because that reared its ugly head in the first period too, before Nikita Zadorov finally did something positive for this team and won a fight against Jamie Benn. It comes on this hit on Brandon Carlo. That was initially called a 5-minute major. And then they went to review and called it a minor boarding penalty. And again, fifth row, Cam Stewart, losing his fucking mind. What are we talking about? Again, a huge play that, does it change the outcome? I don't know, but it certainly changes the way you're looking at the game going into the room at the end of the first period. Because let's look at Rule 43, checking from behind. A check from behind is a check delivered on a player who is not aware of the impending hit, therefore unable to protect or defend himself. And contact is made on the back part of the body, the numbers. When a player intentionally turns his body to create contact with his back, no penalty shall be assessed. We see that sometimes. Players know they're going to get hit, so they turn it around, and that's not a penalty. And for a minor penalty, no provision for a minor penalty from checking from behind, so we don't need that. That can be a minor penalty. A major penalty, any player who cross-checks, pushes, or charges an opponent from behind who is unable to protect or defend himself shall be assessed a major penalty. This penalty applies anywhere on the playing surface. Scotty, can we see the hit again here? And let's open this up. This is not angling his body. That hit is from behind. It's in a dangerous area with his distance from the boards. That is a major freaking penalty every time. Every time. And if you want to say it's BS because if he's 2 feet closer, it's only a minor penalty, you can say that. But that is the rule. He sees the numbers the whole time and then hits him in the numbers in a dangerous spot in front of the boards. That is a major penalty, game misconduct, which they called and then reversed after seeing that. What is this league? What is a boarding call? What is a major penalty? That is a no doubt 5-minute major dunzo. And instead, what happens is Carlo's out for the rest of the period. I'm stunned he came back in this game. And Nikita Zadorov doing what he's supposed to do, which he hasn't done much of this year, what he's supposed to do. But this is what he's supposed to do. And he chucks knucks with Jamie Benn, and he wins the fight, gets the takedown. But in the last 2 games, you lost Hampus Lindholm maybe for the season. You lose Brandon Carlo on that hit for the rest of the period. Then you lose Nikita Zadorov for 5 minutes. And so you've lost 3 guys, essentially, and the Stars have lost 1 for 5 minutes. That's it. It's a shit situation right now, and that was the perfect microcosm of it. And somehow through that bullshit penalty shot call and that bullshit reversal of a major penalty, Jim Montgomery is just standing there with his hands in his pockets. Not a care in the world. Hands in his pockets, thumb presumably right up his ass, doing nothing. I'm sorry. You've got to get thrown out of that game at that point if that's what it takes. He didn't even get an explanation from the refs. I'm throwing sticks. I'm throwing pucks. I'm throwing some of my healthy scratches out there onto the ice surface. Can I get an explanation for that? No. I'm just going to sit there with my hands in my pockets, knowing full well I'll have a nice family Thanksgiving because my ass is going to get fired. And I'm stunned it hasn't happened already. But we know the Bruins, they're waiting till 5:30 Eastern time on a Friday night to can his ass. And a quick Friday evening news dump, promote the assistant, and we'll all go on our merry way like nothing is wrong. Let's just fire coach number 3 in this regime and keep everyone in the front office. It is embarrassing. It is so embarrassing. And there are people out there who say, why would you fire Jim Montgomery? What's he supposed to do with this talent? I don't know, make adjustments? Because they do the same stupid shit every game? They still can't complete a pass? I don't know, maybe that. Because if that's the game we're going to play, then should we even have a coach? Because I agree. We need a shake up in the front office. We need Sweeney out of there. This has not worked. And I wasn't that huge a fan of Sweeney even going into the summer. But I remember saying on this show, there is one summer that Don Sweeney has had money to spend, and it got you Matt Bolesky, David Backus, and a trade for Riley Smith, who made the All-Star team 2 years ago, 6 years after the trade, for Jimmy Hayes, who scored 2 goals for you. That was Don Sweeney's big money summer. And this summer, the second time he had it, abject failure right now. Elias Lindholm, center number 1. Nikita Zadorov, wet fart, just out there doing nothing. And Jeremy Swayman, who has also stunk this season. By the way, I used the wet fart from Matt Berry as a tribute to Matt Berry not being here yesterday. So that is a Matt Berry original. But Swayman, who's eight and a quarter a year, that first goal on Duchesne, what are we doing, bud? 69 seconds into the game, and he's given up one short side from the faceoff dot. Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? A one-handed goal. Another one that's just pushed through the bottom of his pads. Swayman stunk last night. I know it's not all his fault this year, but he stunk last night. And he's actually been pretty good 5-on-5 on special teams. He's been ass. And so everyone will make excuses. Oh, well, it's, we're shorthanded. What do you expect? Well, when you're supposed to be a good penalty killing team, your best penalty killer is your goalie. And he's killing you on the penalty kill. He was not sharp at all last night. And there's been a couple times this season he hasn't been sharp. And it reminds me of that scene in Miracle where Jim Craig is going up to Herb Brooks after that exhibition at Madison Square Garden right before the Olympics, and the Soviets beat him 10-3. And Herb Brooks says, yeah, I'm thinking of giving Janney a shot. Steve Janicek, the backup. And Jim Craig, what? That's my net. He goes, Jimmy, they scored 10 goals. It's everybody's net. That's what it feels like with Swayman right now. I'm going to give Corpy a couple of games. Deal with it. And just, I don't know, get your head right or something. Because you haven't been right either. You didn't have a preseason either. None of these guys have a preseason, and we wonder why a month into the season they suck. I don't know, maybe take it seriously. And I look at the difference between the Stars and the Bruins, because the Stars are a team that has a very legitimate shot at winning the Stanley Cup this year. After they knocked out Vegas last year, I thought they were going to win the Cup before losing in the conference finals. But I think that's a team that is primed to win the Stanley Cup. And when I look at these two teams and their rosters, I look at what the Bruins have had to sacrifice for some of these midseason deals that in the end did not work out because it didn't get them to the Stanley Cup final, other than 2019. But the years after that, when they kept doing these trade deadline deals, did not get them there. So I look at the players 25 or younger on these rosters, okay, that are actually in the lineup every day. For the Bruins, it's Jeremy Swayman, okay, Mason Lohrei, all right, and Mark Kastelik, Johnny Beecher, and that is it. That is it. For the Stars, on the other hand, their guys 25 or younger, Jake Ottinger, Thomas Harley, Miro Heiskanen, like, it's Wyatt Johnston, Logan Stankoven. You've heard of these guys. These are real legit contributors to a team that can win the Stanley Cup. These are real players. Would you rather have Stan Coven or Johnny Beecher? That's an easy one for me. I mean, even the goalie position, which is where the Bruins are supposed to be good at. Would you rather have 25-year-old Jeremy Swayman or 25-year-old Jake Ottinger? Easy. Miro Heiskanen or Mark Kastelik? I don't know. The choice is yours. Oh, but don't worry. Morgan Geekie's 26. If we're going to extend that number, how about Trent Frederick at 26 too? Fucking joke. Absolute joke. Joke of a team right now. Joke of an effort last night. And I mean, the only defenseman who I thought could move the puck was Lowry, and he's a -3. He and Carlo are the two -3s in the game. It's just this team has no direction. And I've said that before, but this is what I mean by no one's hands are clean. They have a coach who wants to play one way. They have a GM who wants to play another way. And the GM is the one who decides who gets called up or sent down, and not the coach. And it's the GM who's spending money on these guys who don't play the way the coach wants them to play. So nobody wins. Nobody wins. And as bad as the Zadorov and Lindholm contracts are going to look, and they look right now, really the problem with Sweeney is letting all of these secondary scorers go and getting nothing to replace them. Not a damn thing. Taylor Hall, Nick Foligno, Jake DeBrusk, Danton Heinen, even guys like James Van Riemsdyk. Let him go and get nothing. Nothing. I had the scary feeling in the offseason, even though I was okay with the signings at the time, I had the scary feeling that they did not get better. They did not get better at all. You've got a GM who wants to make them bigger, and all he did was make them slower. But they out hit Dallas in this game 25-6. Yeah. You really took it to them. You lost by 5 goals. And I got to watch Patrick Brown out there. 34-year-old Patrick Brown. No offense to the guy. He was fine last night. But with this team going absolutely nowhere, you are sending down Matt Patra and you are playing Patrick Brown. 21-year-old Matt Patra, 24-year-old Fabian Lysell are just wasting away in Providence. And I've got 34-year-old Patrick Brown up here doing what? Oh, well, we don't like Fabian Lysell's defense. Really? You like any one of these guys' defense? I got news for you. Your defense sucks. You gave up 7 fucking goals, and you don't want to put out Fabian Lysell, the guy who was supposed to be on your second line in preseason. Give me a break. Any of these guys, any of these forwards, you like their defense? Cut the shit, man. How is it going to get worse than it is right now? At least give these guys some ice time. How do you expect Patra to develop into your future number 1 or 2 center when you keep sending him down? What is he going to learn in Providence right now? The team is not going anywhere in Boston. Have him figure it out in the pros. He was far, far from your worst forward the first couple weeks when you sent them down. And when is that going to end? Whenever Don Sweeney wants, because Don Sweeney is the one who makes the decision on who gets up or goes down, not the head coach. I'd resign if I was Montgomery. Shit, I'd be dealing. I wouldn't want to deal with this shit anymore. There's no way they have a good relationship because no one's on the same page here with what they want. And how are the players supposed to respond to that? Oh, the message is getting stale to the players. Yeah, it probably is because they don't know what message to listen to. They don't know what team they're supposed to be. And Dallas, I mean, again, Dallas was a much better team to begin with, but my God, they are just so much faster. All 4 lines were beating the brakes off the Bruins in the skating game. This team cannot skate. I was actually really glad they didn't announce the home team starting lineup and their starting line. I'm glad they didn't do it for the Bruins because that would have been embarrassing. Outside of Pasternak, the other guys were Geekie and Brazeau. Was that the other one? Just a joke, an absolute joke. And this team's going nowhere, and they're just going to be stuck in neutral because that's what they think they should do. Because maybe by some mistake, someone else in the Atlantic will have a debilitating injury and the Bruins will sneak into the playoffs. And they're so terrified of not making the playoffs. It's probably the time to not make the playoffs and get a top 10 pick. And then you got plenty of work to do after that. But I'll go back to Matt last week when we had Matt Barry on, and he's talked about this several times. It just makes more and more sense by the day, and it made sense when he first said it in the summer. He was saying the Bruins are so desperate for a center, but there's not a first-line center out there. So why don't you just get someone like Jake Gensel, who can score 40 goals on the wing, 35, 40 goals on the wing. You put him there with Pasternak and put someone like Poitras in the middle or Zacha in the middle. Because Zacha proved he could be a first-line center when you have two scoring wings on the other side. He proved that 2 years ago. It's going to be better than whatever you're going to get out of him with Trent Frederick on one wing and Max Jones on the other, or Charlie Coyle with that line. Like, it's not going to work like that. And instead, they said, nope, we'll just get whoever the best center is on the market, who's at best a second-line center and who hasn't even proven to be that in Elias Lindholm. Let's give him $8 million a year. Zadorov, this is team number what? Team number 6 or 7 for Zadorov? Yeah, let's give him $6-7 million a year. It's a fucking clown show right now. And they just spend right up to the cap for nothing. For Lindholm, Zadorov, and Swayman and Korpisalo. Congrats. That's what's going to sink you again. Because you had an opportunity to make some, if you knew you weren't going to compete this year, some nice frugal moves in the summer and have even more cap room next year.
We are Rogue Media Sports.